classroom. So today we're going to move on with the story of village Palampur, where we're going to talk about the land distribution, because land is constrained. So we'll have to see how it is distributed amongst the people, how people have the ownership of the land over here, and how the capital is another factor of production that is taken into consideration. Can I have all of you to please mute your audios? Attendance and charges, kindly note whose audios is not muted up. Just keep a track of it. -1 from the grades today. Okay, so coming to how land is distributed over here, it is basically that we'll see the fact that there are this piece of land over here, how you can see the distribution is happening. There are some pieces of land which are very huge in chunks, whereas you can see some pieces of land over here, they are divided into very smaller segments. So that's because there are some people in Palampur who are actually landless. And how much is that number? It's 1/3 of the total population. Okay, so 1/3 of the 450 families, which will actually come out to be 150 families. Okay, so they are completely landless, and most of these landless people are the Dalits. Okay. Now, apart from this landless, so they are completely not owning any land, so they'll have to work on somebody else's land. So they are out of my, earning population over here. Then moving on to the people who are having some land ownership are the small farmers. And they are having around 240 families who have the small pieces of land, but the fragmented ones, okay? The land which is actually very small in number. So the area of these kind of lands is actually less than 2 hectares. So you can imagine when you happen to be in a agricultural activity, the land will keep on dividing among your brothers and your sisters in the family. So that is how the land gets very fragmented. And these small farmers, they are doing the cultivation only on a very small piece of land. So their production will also be less. Their earnings will also come out to be less in that scenario. Nikunj Arora joining in late. There are some large pieces of land, okay? There are the medium and the large farmers, and there are about 60 families approximately in Palampur who are having these large pieces of lands, which are not so much fragmented like these ones. And the area of such lands would be about more than 2 hectares. Whereas there are some huge pieces of land, some really large pieces of land in Palampur, which would be more than 10 hectares. But very few people would be having such large lands. So the majority of these people in Palampur, they are actually having the medium and large farmers whose areas would be exceeding, say, 2 hectares. So this is how land has been distributed in Palampur. So you can see it's a very uneven distribution. You have landless, you have the small farmers, you have large farmers, the medium and large farmers, and some very large pieces of land which is owned by very few people. So you can see the distribution is not at all equal. But then we are talking about the medium and large farmers. Again, let's recall what was the size of the land. It was more than 2 hectares. Okay. So 2 hectares of land that we were talking about. Okay. So 2 hectares of land which is owned by the medium and large farmers. Now, what are they going to do over here? Can they work on their own? Supposedly you own a large piece of land. Will you start cultivating on your own? Probably not. Why would you do so? You are the owner over there. So what would you do is that you will tend to hire some labor. Where are you going to get this labor from? You're going to get it from the landless ones. Remember the Dalit, 1/3 of the village Palampur's population is consisting of the Dalit who are living in a very secluded area of the village, and they have no land at all. So basically they are landless. And you will have the small farmers, okay, who had those fragmented lands. And I told you, when you have a very fragmented land, a small piece of land, your production will be less, your earning will also be less in that scenario, right? So you would want some better mode of earning. And then you will go and approach these medium and large farmers, because they are the ones who have large piece of land, and you have to, you can provide your labor over there. So apart from land, labor is the second important factor of production in village Palampur. So if we have to differentiate between the landless labor and the small farmers, there is a difference. Here I'm taking the word as labor. So labor means that he is going to just work over here. He'll be employed over here, right? He does not have a land of his own. He will have no right over the crop that he is growing over here, because the crop will belong to the uh, big farmer, the medium and large farmer over here. So he will be just employed as a person, either on a daily basis. Daily basis means he'll be getting his daily wage. So suppose every day he's working and he'll be getting say 80 rupees per day for his work. Or it could be for a particular farm activity. For example, he might be hired for only sowing of the seeds, or he could be hired only for harvesting, right? Or for the whole year also. Depending how he is able to get the employment, his wages will also depend upon it. On the other hand, you have the small farmer. I call him the farmer because he has a small plot of land, okay? And he will be cultivating it along with his family members, right? And they provide the labor required for the farming themselves. So they are not going to hire anybody else over here, okay? They might be working on medium and large farms also, as their as they can be hired over there. But when they have the small piece of land, these small farmers, they will be actually cultivating in that small piece of land, and they'll be doing it with their own family labor. So that is how we differentiate between a landless labor who does not have any land at all, and a small labor or a small farmer, sorry, who will have a land approximately which would consist of say less than 2 hectares of it. Shreyas Arya joining in late. Now, when we talk of the wages over here, government has put some limits on us. Kritik, you have some doubt? I'll take it up in the portion when I'm done with the teaching. So please note down your doubt. So what happens is that the government has set up some laws which has to be maintained when you are paying the wages. So that is called a minimum wage act. So it's a minimum wage the government has set. Like, you have to pay this much amount. You should not go below that. So how do you take care of that? So the minimum wage has been set for the farm labor at 115 rupees, okay, per day. So every day that he is working, if he is a daily wage earner, so every day he should be getting 115 rupees. And this is as per April 2011 data. The data keeps on changing in NCERT books, so please be updated with the newer version. You can definitely remind me what is the newer amount that has been quoted in your NCERT book, if I'm wrong. But then, the point is, even though the government is taking care of the interest of the farmer, of the laborers over here by setting this minimum wage, but in reality, these labor, they are not getting this much amount. They're getting much less than this amount, and that's rupees 80. So the cap is at rupees 115, like minimum you should be getting 115, but you're not. So what is it happening over here? You're actually discriminating over here. There's inequality happening in the society. They are not getting, these landless laborers, they're not getting what they deserve, right? Or whatever is the right, because it's the minimum wage which has been set by the government. So this is how, although the land has been distributed unevenly over here, and people are employed on the fields, but there is still a lot of difference in their earnings. So you can imagine that if the landless labor is earning less, who is benefiting out of this by paying a lesser amount than the minimum wage? It's the medium and large farmers who have a large piece of land, say more than 2 hectares of land. They are employing these landless laborers, and they are also paying them less than what they are deserving. So obviously they are getting the profit out of it. Also the profit because of higher productivity, right? So this is how the distribution is happening. Now there's a cartoon which has been there in page number 8 of your books, if you all have it in front of you, or else you can have a look over here also. So this is a story about Dala and Ramkali. Okay, so this is the man over here, Dala and Ramkali. So what are they discussing over here is that, so the dialogue over here, it says that it's very difficult to find work these days. Only the large farmers hire us, and that too for very limited number of days. So the problem is they are hired only for a very specific duration of time. what would they do for the other period of the time when they're not employed? They'll have to go and search work somewhere else, right? And then the second problem is we have the tractors for plowing, harvesters for harvesting, threshers for threshing, and for weedicides also they are having the material. So who is having this? The large farmers. Okay, so Dalla is probably telling about his condition that he's been employed under the large farmers, but only for a limited period of time, and he has all these facilities available to him over there. But then, what is his problem over here? He says that I owe the local money lender rupees 2,000. I had taken 1,000 last summer when no work was available in the field. How will I ever repay? I hardly earn anything for the 2 square meals. So what they're trying to say over here is that although they are hired in the um, under the large farmers, but they are hired only for a small duration of time. For the other half of the year when they are unemployed, they have to actually borrow money from the money lenders, and then they fall into the concept of debt trap. They are unable to pay that much amount of interest that has been charged from them. And you can see the example over here of Ramkali. What is she up to? Her situation is little different. Divya, kindly note down your doubt. I'll get back to you after the explanation. So Ghanshyam is the large farmer. Just he has brought a harvester over here, and he is when he has the harvester, Ramkali is only able to get the work only for less than 5 months, right, in the entire year. So what is she going to do for the another part? She is actually going to go and look out for the job in the brick making unit of Raiganj. So remember, I told you about Raiganj, where the large farmers actually go to sell their extra produce. So again, Ramkali has to go and find some other work. And the other part of the year, she's actually living on debt, right? She has taken a lot of loans, and this is their basic condition. So you can see, although it's a very developed village of Palampur, but there is problems with the farm laborers. They are not treated equally, and their earnings really vary over here. So given that this is the condition of the laborers over here, the point is that apart from labor, the third important thing is capital. In simple words, money. Without the money investment, you cannot start off any business or any work. You require the money to set up your business. So these small farmers, they have to borrow the money to arrange the capital. Just like we told you about Ramkali and Dalla's situation, they have to borrow the money. So if they are a small farmer and they have a fragmented piece of land, they will have to actually search out for the money, borrow the money from the money lenders or the traders. They are very rich in this village, and then they can buy the inputs for the cultivation. Then they can sow their seeds and get the money after the harvesting is done. But the problem is, for these small farmers who have to actually go out and borrow money, the interest which is charged on these loans, it's very high. What would happen if the interest is high? They have to pay a lot of rate of interest. So maybe their entire earning from their farming, it would go into paying of the interest only. And you know, apart from the interest, there is the principal amount also. Simple mathematics. So the principal amount will again remain unpaid for the next year, and such cycle, it keeps on happening. So the person is unable to repay the entire amount. They will keep on taking more and more loans. So he will end up into a distress where he will unable to pay his loan, and he'll fall into a debt trap. This is very common in our villages, right? Because people are so dependent on taking the loans to take the capital from the money lenders and the traders. But the situation is a little different from the medium and the large farmers. Medium and the large farmers, let's just recall, they have more than 2 hectares of land. They are the one who are employing the landless laborers on their fields, right? Giving them wages, and the wages are also less than the minimum wages that is set by the government. So they are probably the richer segment over here. And how do they get their money over here? By their own savings. So this is one way by which they are getting the capital. So they save. They are earning profits, out of which they are keeping some money with them. for the investment into their fields, and then they are utilizing it for their purpose. So they do not have to go to the money lender because they earn enough by selling their produce, because the productivity is also high on a large piece of land. So they get more money, out of which they are saving some amount and putting it for the next season. The next slide over here is actually going to tell you about the loan saga. Okay, how a small farmer like Savita, there's a story which is given in your book also. She has to actually cultivate her land, and she's going to go grow the wheat over here. But the problem is she has only 1 hectare of land, so it's a very small piece of land, okay, that she has. But she needs to buy everything. All the seeds, the fertilizer, all the equipments have to be bought, whether it's a small farm or it's a large farm. She requires a minimum of 3,000 to do this cultivation, but she does not have the money of her own because she's a very small farmer, hardly has any capital in her banks, right? So she has to go and borrow from Tejpal Singh, who is a very large farmer. Large farmer implying that the Tejpal is going to be a wealthy person, right? So Tejpal has agreed to give Savita the loan at an interest rate of 24% for 4 months. It's not even annual, right? Your banks pay you annual rate of interest. Here Tejpal is asking 24% only for 4 months. So you can calculate if the amount is for annual, say for 12 months, how much the interest rate is. Very, very high, right? So this is a very high interest rate, and Savita has to also promise to work on his field as a farm laborer during the harvest season at rupees 35 per day. What is the minimum wage? 115. She is working at 35. Okay. Apart from the rate, this high rate of interest that she's paying to Tejpal Singh. So you can see how double exploitation is happening. You are giving the high rate of interest. You are again working as a farm laborer at a low wage rate. So you can well understand Savita's situation over here. Completely discriminated, and she will never be able to come out of the circle. She will be never be able to pay this high rate of interest and fulfill her loan amount, right? And that's the case of majority of our farm laborers in India also, right? They are facing these tough conditions and they land into debt trap. And there was a time in our recent past, I think around 2016 around, where there was large number of farmers death happening. That was majorly because they were unable to pay the interest. Their loans were unrepaid, and they could not repay because our agriculture is completely dependent on the monsoon. So if the rains do not come, our agriculture fail, productivity fails, and the farmer is unable to earn anything. And forget about paying his loan, he might not be able to do his own consumption also, right? So this is the problem in our country, and that was something similar to Palampur's condition also. So now we come up to the condition where the medium and the large farmers, how they're better off. Their story is completely different from what we studied about the farm laborers, right? The medium and large farmers, they are working on a large piece of land. They are able to retain the production of the wheat for the family consumption, and whatever is extra, they are selling it in the market. So in Palampur, the major production is happening of the wheat, as we had studied the Rabi, Kharif, and the Zayed crops. So you can recall that wheat is a major production happening in Palampur. They are keeping some for their own consumption. Obviously, you will not consume everything which has been produced because you have a very large piece of land measuring more than 2 hectares, right? So the extra amount has to be given to the traders. So the traders in the market, they are actually going to buy the wheat from this medium and large farmers. And then they will forward it to the shopkeeper in the towns and cities, and then it can be sold off. So the selling happens when the wheat is actually sold to the Raiganj market. Okay. And also when they are selling the surplus, they are able to get money from there also, which they are going to keep in their bank accounts, right? So they are medium and large farmers. They are aware about the banking system. They have savings, so they have to put it in the bank accounts. So you can see how developed or well knowledge they are over here. And the saving that is going into the bank account is going to be used either for capital in the next season. Okay, so they are going to utilize this on their field for buying the inputs and all, or they can also give it as lending to the small farmers, from where they will again earn the rate of interest. So they have a dual earning process. They are earning from selling the surplus wheat. They are also getting the money from the small farmers by giving them the loan. So this is how the life of the small farmers and these medium farmers and the landless farmers are actually very different, and they are having complete different lifestyle over here because their resources are limited and they are making use of that itself. Now we're going to leave you with some homework question. We're going to discuss this also.